In the Lee's kingdom, dragons are wreaking hilarious havoc, much to humanity's dismay. The unlikely duo of Leonica, a skilled hunter, and her bumbling partner Ragna, who's more of a babysitter than a beast slayer, take on these fire-breathing creatures with their shiny silverine weapons. Ragna, convinced he's a dragon magnet with an uncanny ability to survive while others fall, is haunted by a dream. An old man in his vision ominously foretells Leonica's doom. Meanwhile, the dragons decide to throw a surprise party in Donapiru, a city that's been dragon-free for a decade. The party gets out of hand, and the dragons, not ones to leave anyone out, extend their fiery festivities to every city in the kingdom. This includes Ranabura City, home to Leonica and Ragna. The dragons are led by Grimwelt of the Blood Wings, a superior dragon serving the dragon god and the leader of the scaly troublemakers. Ragna, amidst the fiery frenzy, spots Grimwelt, and a light bulb flickers on this dragon, is the very one predicted to be Leonica's downfall. As fate would have it, Ragna gets knocked out cold, and his unconscious mind takes him on a wild ride to the future. There, he meets an older, grumpier version of himself. Future Ragna, clearly not a fan of his younger self, labels him a parasite who clung to Leonica to hide his own shortcomings. Embittered by loss and driven by grief, future Ragna transformed himself into a human silverine hybrid, training to the brink of human limits. He gained the power to slay dragons with a mere touch, but alas, it did nothing to fill the Leonica-shaped hole in his heart. But wait, there's a twist. Future Ragna reveals that he's not just there to scold his younger self. He has a plan to rewrite history, to change the past, and possibly save Leonica. In a moment straight out of a fantastical self-help book, future Ragna decides to merge with his younger self, bestowing upon Ragna not only his memories, but also his incredible silverine battle arts powers. Meanwhile, Leonica faces off with Grimwelt, only to learn a bizarre truth. The dragon god had been safeguarding Donapiru all because of a cake shop he adored. When the shop closed, the dragon god, in a fit of dessert-deprived rage, ordered the obliteration of the entire Lee's kingdom. Ragna, now supercharged with his future self's abilities, springs into action. He confronts and defeats Grimwelt, saving Leonica in a dramatic display of his newfound powers. As he basks in the relief of altering their fate, Ragna is touched by a sense of accomplishment. This time, he was the hero. In the background, future Ragna and a mysterious god observe the unfolding events. They nod in approval, acknowledging that the future of a dragon-free world now rests in the capable hands of Ragna and Leonica. But the adventure isn't over. Just as Ragna begins to recover from his intense ordeal, the city faces a new, unusual threat, an army of trees. The mysterious god watches with a knowing gaze, reminiscing that this was the very moment he first crossed paths with Ragna. The trees attacking the city are revealed to be under the control of another dragon, Temruogtaf. In a scenario that could only happen in a world where cake-loving gods and tree-commanding dragons exist, Ragna, feeling Leonica's peril, is jolted awake and, with a heroic punch, sends Temruogtaf reeling. But wait, there's more. Amidst the chaos, Ragna spots Temruogtaf's maid and experiences a serious case of déjà vu. The maid is none other than the mysterious god Crimson from future Ragna's memories. In a dramatic backstory twist, it turns out Crimson, a dragon monarch, had once betrayed the dragon god and, as a slap on the wrist, had most of his powers sealed away. Bent on revenge, Crimson teamed up with future Ragna to annihilate all dragons by bestowing the silverine battle arts upon Ragna. However, in the present, Crimson plays it cool, insisting he's just a humble maid named Elise. As for Temruogtaf, Ragna makes quick work of the dragon, showing off his newly acquired powers. But when he tries to send Leonica to safety, thinking he's doing the right thing, he ends up igniting her temper instead. In a moment of introspection, Ragna realizes that his past weakness had inadvertently placed Leonica in a perpetual leadership role. Determined to step up, he challenges Leonica to a duel, showcasing his newfound strength and resolve. In a bittersweet victory, Ragna defeats Leonica, persuading her to evacuate with the civilians for safety. This decision, while necessary, leaves a heart-wrenching void between them, marking a poignant shift in their dynamic. Meanwhile, Crimson, still in his maid disguise and steadfastly denying his true identity, finds himself at the center of Ragna's strategic planning. Taking a leaf out of future Crimson's book, Ragna offers himself as a servant to Crimson. Intrigued by Ragna's potential and his audacious offer, Crimson accepts, but not without a catch. He gives Ragna a poison, a sort of loyalty insurance that would activate should Ragna ever betray him. Crimson, now with Ragna under his wing, reveals a grand, albeit grim, plan. His objective is to annihilate the 6 dragon bloodlines and ultimately the dragon god. Then, as the last dragon standing, he intends to let Ragna end his life, bringing the Age of Dragons to a close. In a scene that's less than ideal, a superior dragon is having a less than gentlemanly encounter with some women, while nearby, refugees are engaged in what could only be described as a desperate attempt at dragon dodgeball. Meanwhile, Ragna is off fighting a few dragons, showcasing moves that would make any action hero envious, all under the watchful eyes of Crimson and a group of warriors who are probably taking bets on the outcome. Flashback time. Ragna and Crimson are sealing their deal, probably not with a handshake, but something more dramatic. Enter Slime, Crimson's servant, who scolds Ragna for his lack of manners. It's like watching someone tell off a cat for not using a napkin. Crimson, ever the mediator, halts Slime's lecture and starts quizzing Ragna about future events. Unfortunately, Ragna's memory is as clear as a foggy day in London, much to Crimson's dismay. Ragna, however, drops a bombshell. He can use all the Silverine battle arts his future self passed down. It's like learning you have a superpower but forgetting the instruction manual. Crimson, seeing potential in Ragna's forgetful but powerful state, wants him to go on a dragon-slaying spree using these arts. To get the people hyped about their dragon-slaying escapades, Crimson showcases their magic in a way that would make any street magician green with envy. Enter Michael, a dragon hunter with a request that sounds more like a dare to fight Desaz-Toi, a superior dragon with a name as intimidating as its reputation. This dragon has already given them the slip once in Tordier City. But just as things heat up, Ragna dramatically falls to the ground, his body saying a firm no to more dragon hunting. Crimson, seeing an opportunity, plans to use Ragna's Silverine powers himself. In a twist of unexpected nobility, they turn down the offer to fight Toi, not wanting the local dragon hunters to trade their dragon-slaying day jobs for a life of handing over their gear to Crimson. Crimson is chatting with Michael, wondering why they're so hung up on battling Toi, especially since they have no official duty to play hero for the country. Crimson cheekily assumes they're just trying to wash away their cowardice from fleeing a previous battle. In a mix of encouragement and peer pressure, Crimson nudges the men to keep up the good fight. Michael, wearing his heart on his sleeve, admits he wishes he and his buddies had the same cool powers as Crimson and Ragna. In a move that's part generous, part cunning, Crimson promises to hand over Ragna's Reaper blade to Michael, giving them a chance at a do-over with Toi. Fast forward to a visit in Tordier, where Crimson, Michael, and Co. are in a shed that's more like a gun show, all thanks to Ragna's Silverine battle arts. Ragna, not thrilled about being turned into a walking weapon exhibit, also isn't keen on being labeled a Reaper in front of the crew. He's got a heart, worrying about these men potentially biting the dust in their tussle with Toi. Crimson, playing part therapist, part devil's advocate, urges Ragna to spill his guts about his feelings. Ragna confesses he'd be heartbroken if anyone, especially someone like Leo, got hurt. Crimson, in response, cracks a joke about kidnapping Leo and stashing her in a coffin in the gun armory, all to keep Ragna's mind on the game. Ragna, understandably, isn't amused and tries to punch Crimson, who just laughs it off, reminding Ragna of his place. In a display that's equal parts shocking and theatrical, Crimson demonstrates what being cursed really means by putting a shotgun in their mouth and pulling the trigger. They miraculously resurrect, leaving Ragna and possibly the audience equally gobsmacked. Meanwhile, Slime updates Crimson on Twa's ongoing tornado-powered torture spree. Crimson, ever the strategist or sadist, decides to let this horror show continue, keeping Michael, his team, and Ragna in the dark. The next day, as they drive to Twa's location, Crimson can't help but mock the dragon. Twa, predictably, throws a fit, vowing revenge. Crimson tells everyone to gear up for battle. It's like a bizarre pep rally before a football game, except the football is a dragon with anger management issues. Michael is busy giving a pep talk to his team. They're gearing up to face Twa, who, in a classic villain move, vows to demolish them for daring to mock him and his god. The scene has a slightly comic edge, like watching someone challenge a grumpy cat to a staring contest. Then comes the action. Michael, armed with silver-powered bullets, takes a shot at Twa, leaving the dragon more baffled than a cat chasing a laser pointer. Crimson, always one for dramatics, lures Twa into a closed-off area. The dragon, losing his cool and his tornado, ends up being launched into the sky like a misguided firework. Up in the air, Ragna flexes his silverine battle arts, grabbing Twa and elegantly setting him onto a spear held by Michael and his squad. It's like a weird version of a trust fall exercise, except with more spears and less trust. Just when it seems Twa might slip away, Crimson, in a move that's part road rage, part strategic genius, runs him over. Twa, now seriously wounded, becomes a living target practice for Michael and his men, leading to his dramatic defeat. Crimson, in a moment of dark humor, notes that Twa could have easily won the battle if not for their taunts that threw him off his game. It's like beating a chess grandmaster by relentlessly telling knock-knock jokes. While Crimson chuckles at their success, Ragna admires Crimson's risky yet effective tactics, believing they'll be key in his dragon-defeating quest. After the battle, Crimson, playing the role of both benefactor and mind-wiper, equips Michael's team with gear and then erases their memories of the whole encounter. As they part ways, Crimson whips out a radio, and the trio Crimson, Slime, and Ragna tune into a news report about another dragon attack. It seems their dragon-fighting road trip is far from over. 5 days earlier, in a scene that's more serious boardroom than battlefield, King Femid Lees is in a meeting discussing the downfall of Donapiru. King Lees is busy strategizing, commanding his men to assemble a troop unit and recruit dragon hunters, all while wisely advising them to steer clear of any superior dragons. It's like planning a picnic, but reminding everyone to avoid the bears. Enter Ultimacia, an angel-winged dragon with the dramatic flair of a diva making a grand entrance. She introduces herself to a bewildered Lees, who's clearly surprised she bypassed his kingdom's defenses and barrier. Ultimacia, showing off her resilience, casually mentions she's just shrugging off the pain. Lees, a bit thrown off, notes there's no record of Ultimacia causing trouble, despite her high-ranking status. Ultimacia, in a twist, reveals she's stopped time a nifty trick that's part party trick, part terrifying display of power. She reassures Lees she's not here to stir up trouble with the locals, which is why she's opted for this more personal approach. Then, in a move that's equal parts horrifying and over the top, Ultimacia presents a gift, the severed head of one of her comrades, stylishly displayed on a sword. Lees, unsure whether to call a cleanup crew or a therapist, awkwardly accepts her apology. But Ultimacia drops another bombshell. She's here to demolish Lees's kingdom on her god's orders. She's even coordinated with other dragons for attacks on nearby towns, with a no-exit policy for the residents. Lees, understandably, tries to reason with her, pointing out this means war. Ultimacia, however, is unfazed, expecting a massacre rather than a battle. In a desperate move, Lees attempts to use his kingdom's weapon against Ultimacia, but her loyal minions jump in to protect her. When one of them injures Lees, Ultimacia, in a display of time-warping regret, rewinds time to correct this faux pas and apologizes to Lees. As Lees grapples with the reality of Ultimacia's god-like abilities, she proposes a dark collaboration. She wants his help to ensure everyone's inevitable end is as terrible as possible. The scene closes with Lise in a state of panic, shaking hands with Ultimacia, sealing a deal that's more sinister than any corporate merger. In the Lise Kingdom, residents are hastily packing their bags, probably including some dragon repellent, as they evacuate due to the impending dragon attack. Elsewhere, Ultimacia is having a one-sided conversation with the beheaded dragon she flaunted earlier, casually discussing the kingdom's dramatic 10-day countdown to doom. She mentions that the 9th seat Dornia got whooped by Starlia Lise, the kingdom's second princess. Ultimacia, not one to take defeat lightly, has sent Teritra 5th seat and Zora 6th seat after her. She drops another bombshell about 3 Nia members, then turns to Waltakamui, the 2nd seat, and basically tells him, "You're up, buddy." Waltakamui, who seems to be having a much better day than the beheaded dragon, is then informed about future Ragna's rough encounter with Ultimacia and company. The superior dragons are in a bit of a pickle about what to do with Ragna. Waltakamui, perhaps feeling generous, suggests keeping him alive. Ultimacia, in a twist, proposes letting Ragna join their dragon club, which understandably confuses everyone. She greets Ragna and reminisces about other dragon hunters she's encountered. Another Blood of the Wing member drops the news on Ragna. Ultimacia plans to turn him into a dragon. It's like a bizarre job offer you can't refuse. The superior dragons then share their origin story, revealing they were once human. Ragna, not impressed, calls them out for their role in Leo's demise. In a dramatic turn, Ultimacia stabs Ragna with the Blade of Blood, initiating his dragon transformation. But plot twist, it's all a dream. Current Ragna wakes up next to Crimson and Slime on a train. Back in the capital, Crimson, who apparently gets crowd sickness, asks Ragna to call him Veronica. Ragna, ever the sharp one, spots a woman and a kid and suspects it's Ultimacia in disguise. Remembering Crimson's warning, he hesitates to attack, caught in a moment of indecision that could change everything. In a scene that's part strategy meeting, part comedy of errors, Crimson is laying out her master plan to take down Ultimacia, with her allies throwing in their 2 cents. One ally voices concerns about challenging Ultimacia, especially given her knack for time manipulation. Crimson, ever the optimist, brushes off these worries, confident in Ragna's dragon-slaying chops. Ultimacia, playing the unlikely hero, helps the boy find his family, with Nebulum lending a hand. In a sudden burst of action, Ragna confronts Ultimacia and Nebulum, swiftly taking out Nebulum. He then squares off against Ultimacia, revealing his plan to end her reign. As they clash, Crimson and her crew feel the surge of Ragna's power. He's using his knowledge from the future to outmaneuver Ultimacia, even with her time rewind abilities. Ragna is on a mission, and it looks like he's not stopping until Ultimacia is history. Future Ragna goes to extreme lengths to avoid joining the superior dragon club. He harms himself. It's like someone faking a cough to get out of gym class, but way more intense. Thinking Ragna's a goner, Ultimacia ropes Intoa to help her, and the others make a quick exit. But wait, here come Slime, Crimson, and Gollum, just in time for the rescue. Crimson, upon examining Ragna, realizes he's pulled a sneaky move, freezing his own heart to dodge dragon recruitment. She tells Gollum they need to scoop up Ragna and head back to base. Back in the present, Crimson is steaming like an overcooked kettle because Ragna didn't stick to the plan. Meanwhile, one of her henchmen is giving her the play-by-play on Ragna's battle. Just as you think it's game over for Ragna, he springs back to life and heads straight for Ultimacia. She's baffled how's he moving in her pause time. She stops her time powers, but before Ragna can land a hit, he collapses. It seems he's overdrawn on his future power bank. The chapter closes with Crimson eyeing Nebulum and Ultimacia, probably plotting their next chess move in this high-stakes game of dragon versus humans. Crimson notices that Ultimacia's morale is plummeting, thanks to her fear of Ragna's overwhelming strength. In a move that's equal parts sneaky and explosive, Crimson decides to detonate several bombs across the Lise Kingdom. It's like throwing a surprise party, but with less cake and more panic. The goal? to further shatter Ultimatia's spirit and trick her into using her dwindling power to rewind time and fix the mess. Nebulum, playing the role of the concerned sidekick, warns Ultimatia not to waste her energy. Meanwhile, Crimson is having a not-so-pleasant chat with Gollum, scolding him for messing up the plan. Crimson's orders are clear: keep an eye on the Bloodline's movements and take care of disposing of someone's body. Nebulum, feeling like he let Ultimatia down, reminisces about a pep talk from Borgias about growing up and the importance of their bloodline. Borgias had assured him that he'd be the backbone of their progenitor one day. Powered up and ready for a showdown, Nebulum sets out to find Crimson. But Crimson, confident in his ability to stay hidden thanks to his space-bending skills, plans to make a quick exit with his allies now that their business in the Lee's kingdom is wrapped up. Ragna, who's just woken up, is itching to finish off Ultimatia. Crimson, however, thinks Ragna's done enough and instructs him to make a run for it with Chimera. Ragna, not one to follow orders, quietly powers up, prompting Crimson to signal Chimera to subdue him. In a twist of fate, Ragna's power surge creates a crack in their hideout, giving Nebulum the clue he needs to find them. Crimson, in a mad dash to escape, struggles to get away. Gollum is then ordered to take a shot at Nebulum, leading to an all-out brawl between the factions. Cut to a princess and her team, who are startled to find unexpected guests via their underground teleportation circle. It turns out Crimson and Ragna have crash-landed in the stronghold of Starlia Lees, the second princess of the Lees kingdom. While Ragna receives medical attention, Crimson agrees to answer any questions they have. Crimson, ever the observant one, notes Starlia's impressive battle skills and her unique challenge of lacking arms. He admits to disliking Starlia, finding it hard to deceive her. However, in a classic Crimson move, he soon realizes he can use his aura to deceive Starlia. Revealing his dragon eye, he prepares to put on an Oscar-worthy performance to trick Starlia. In a flashback filled with the kind of intrigue you'd find in a royal drama, Starlia confronts Lieutenant General Perero. Turns out, he's been cooking up a coup d'etat with a neighboring country, so she takes him out. Back in the present, Crimson is putting on a performance worthy of a lead actor in a spy thriller. He's executing a strategy to outwit Starlia and dodge her truth-detecting abilities. Despite his best efforts, Starlia sees right through Crimson's web of lies and truths. Starlia dives into a TED talk about her abilities. While Crimson's aura is showing up as blue truth, she senses a whiff of something not quite right with him. It's like smelling a fishy odor in a perfume store. She tells Crimson she senses a dark cloud of doom around him, leading her to call her men to tackle Crimson. Crimson braces for a fight, but Ragna jumps in to save the day. Suddenly, Starlia starts losing her cool, and the two wonder why. Crimson guesses it's because of Ragna's immense strength and his fusion with his silver sword. But really, Starlia is seeing Ragna as a giant walking sword with limbs, not exactly your typical knight in shining armor. In another flashback, Starlia's tutor, Nazarena, is giving her a scolding. Because Starlia's been too busy playing wordsmith, her marriage engagement is off. Back in the present, while Starlia is clearly smitten with Ragna, Ragna informs everyone that he and Crimson are open to cooperating. But one of Starlia's men isn't taking any chances and throws them in jail, promising to return once they've made a solid decision. In their cell, Crimson and Ragna have a heart-to-heart, during which Crimson restores Slime and updates Ragna on their sticky situation. Meanwhile, two of Starlia's men are having a gossip session about Ragna, Starlia, and other kingdom gossip. As they chat, we see Starlia, who's got Ragna on the brain. Nazarena, playing the role of the no-nonsense tutor, gives Starlia a reality check. She reminds Starlia that while it's great to have a crush, she's got a kingdom to run. Starlia, inspired, vows to live up to her royal duties. The scene shifts to Ultimatia, who's apologizing to her god and sister for her failures. Her sister god is wondering why Ultimatia couldn't protect her from something mysterious. Ultimatia wakes up from this nightmare, realizing her powers aren't what they used to be. Christopher and Shin update Princess Starlia on the latest dragon shenanigans in the area. Starlia, pondering the superior dragon's master plan, turns to her aide Majorca for an update on their teleportation circle. She instructs Majorca to get food to finish the circle within a day, like ordering a pizza but way more complicated. Enter Ragna and Crimson, causing Starlia's heart to do a little dance at the sight of Ragna. Crimson, ever the self-proclaimed genius, praises their plan but humbly suggests it's doomed without his sage wisdom. He offers up Ragna as a superweapon against the superior dragons. Starlia, smitten with Ragna, but not buying what Crimson is selling, flat out refuses to work with them. Crimson, not one to give up easily, tries to sweeten the deal by dishing out details on one of the superior dragons, Ulto Zora, covering everything from their role to their weaknesses. But Starlia remains unimpressed, so Crimson nudges Ragna to try and convince her. Ragna, caught in a moment of uncertainty, recalls Crimson's promise to back him up if he follows orders and shelves his quest to defeat Ultimacia for now. Buoyed by this memory, Ragna assures Starlia they can be trusted in the battle against the dragons. Starlia, finally giving in, agrees to work with them, but makes it clear she's the boss when it comes to strategy. Meanwhile, Zora pays a visit to Ultimacia, who's having a bit of a power crisis, unable to wield time as she used to. Zora brings her the head of Twa's killer, adding a touch of drama to the meeting. Zora tries to pep-talk Ultimacia, suggesting her time control issues stem from her fear of Ragna. Ultimacia, however, is more focused on reshaping the world to her god's liking than taking out Ragna. After some arm twisting, she relents and orders Zora to bring her the heads of Ragna and Crimson. The superior dragons gather, and Nebulum ponders how he can worm his way into Ultimacia's heart. Zora, fired up by the memory of Twa's killer's last words, is raring to go toe-to-toe with Ragna. Ragna is busy demonstrating the ins and outs of his Silverine to Starlia and her team. Starlia, keen on upgrading her squad's arsenal, orders her subordinates to bring all their weapons to Ragna for a magical infusion. As Ragna infuses Starlia's team's weapons with Silverine, he remembers a strategy session with Crimson. Crimson, playing the role of a cautious coach, suggests Ragna only use half of his Silverine for the weapons and save the rest for himself. Cut to Starlia's elite crew, where the mood varies. Shin, on a mission to prove himself, decides to challenge Ragna. After his 7th defeat, Shin lies on the ground, probably questioning his life choices, as twin warriors approach Ragna to discuss Starlia. Ragna's response is as casual as someone commenting on the weather, and the twins eagerly await their turn to have their bullets Silverine boosted. Enter Slime, who can't resist poking fun at the twins, comparing them to dragons. The twins, not ones to take a joke lying down, whisk Slime away to a secret location and regale him with their tragic backstory. Then, in a twist that's part comedy, part horror movie, they decide to give Slime a taste of his own medicine for his insensitive remarks. Meanwhile, another group of Starlia's subordinates is struggling with their teleportation circle project. Crimson, stumbling upon their predicament, offers his help, probably seeing it as a chance to add Circle Expert to his resume. The scene shifts to Ulto and the superior dragons, who are in the middle of a strategy session. Ulto declares their goals: demolish the country and defeat Ragna and his buddies. Kamui, eager for some action, volunteers to handle Ragna and co., himself sparking a little disagreement with Ulto. Nebulum, playing the voice of reason, suggests they let Ragna's group come to them. Ulto, impressed with Nebulum's level-headedness, suggests Kamui take a leaf out of his book. Ulto reassures Ultimacia that he's got the country destruction part of the plan covered. However, he's not planning on being as merciful as Ultimacia might have liked. Ultimacia, as long as the job gets done, is okay with Ulto's approach. Tara then chimes in, reminding everyone of their duties and not to end up like their less fortunate comrades. Starlia and Ike are mulling over whether Crimson's tales of dragon-slaying heroics are more fact or fiction. Starlia, playing the role of the skeptical leader, advises Ike to take Crimson's words with a grain of salt, suspecting he enjoys mixing lies with his truths like a bad cocktail. Ike then brings up Crimson's intriguing claim about superior dragons retaining a hint of humanity. Starlia confirms this with a casual nod, pointing out that several of her own soldiers have some non-human quirks. It's like revealing that some of her team might be part-time werewolves. Then, the scene shifts to Ragna's cell, where the twin warriors arrive with a roughed-up slime in tow. Crimson makes an appearance, and Ragna explains his cell time is more of a Zen practice to keep calm. He also reveals that he saved most of his Silverine power, like a gamer hoarding the best power-ups for the final boss. Cut to Oltozora and his dragon crew causing chaos at the royal palace, like a group of rowdy teenagers, but with more scales and fire. After stirring the pot, Zora and his dragon gang make their way to Starlia's base. Terictra, attempting a sneaky infiltration, ends up failing spectacularly. Ragna, ready for action, chases after Tora. Terictra, perhaps overestimating his own abilities, thinks he can handle Ragna without calling in Waltakamui for backup. As Ragna and Terictra square off, it looks like we're in for a showdown that's part epic battle, part clash of egos.